Fear is the core emotion that every great villain must evoke, and few characters in Tower of God do this as effectively as Reflejo. Today we are taking a deep dive into the twisted, nightmarish world of this truly terrifying antagonist. Reflejo is not just another obstacle in Baam's journey, he is a symbol of manipulation, psychological warfare, and the lengths to which one can go to achieve their revenge. But what makes him such a fearful villain? Let's break it all down as we are continuing our journey through Tower of God's most iconic villains. Hi, I'm Dennis, and let's find out where Reflejo will land in our ultimate villain tier list. Reflejo isn't your typical powerhouse villain in Tower of God. He is not someone who stands out because of his overwhelming physical strength or his flashy abilities. No, Reflejo's power comes from a much darker place. His ability to instill fear, to manipulate and to control those around him. From the moment he is introduced, there's something unsettling about him. You get the sense that this is a man who has been broken by the tower and now exists solely to break others in return. If you want to understand Reflejo, you need to understand his trauma. He wasn't born into cruelty, it was forced on him. His tribe lived peacefully until they crossed paths with Julia, a candidate to become a princess of Jihad. For daring to look at her, Reflejo's people were slaughtered and his eyes were gouged out. That's not just tragic, it's symbolic. The tower itself blinded him. Power and beauty were given to someone cruel while he was left mutilated and powerless. In his own words, I could not accept that someone so cruel could have been given such beauty and strength. That line tells you everything about Reflejo. He doesn't just hate individuals, he hates the system. He hates the gods of the tower and he hates the unfairness of destiny itself. That's the root of his hatred. He doesn't just resent Julia, he resents the entire order of the tower. He sees God as a cruel force that gives power to the undeserving while condemning the weak. Enter fuck. To most characters, being used by fuck is a nightmare, but to Reflejo, being a pawn gave him purpose. It meant his suffering wasn't meaningless. It meant he could finally point his rage somewhere. And this is where his dialogue with Baam near the end of the workshop battle cuts so deep. When Baam asked if he's really satisfied with being exploited, Reflejo doesn't hesitate. I am satisfied. You wouldn't understand that sometimes even being exploited can be a source of hope for someone. You wield power, but you won't do anything with it. You would never understand. I resent God. If God had given me the power to change the tower, I would not have thought twice about my petty life. That line makes Reflejo more than just a villain. He's Baam's philosophical opposite in that moment. Where Baam struggles under the burden of power, Reflejo would have sacrificed his entire life for even a fraction of it. Baam wants freedom, Reflejo wants chains, if those chains lead to vengeance. Reflejo is a pawn of Pokken, a follower of Karaka, and he was given part of Pokken's power through a shadow. But Reflejo isn't just using Pokken's shadow for a power-up. Thematically, him merging with that shadow is a visual metaphor, it's symbolic. Reflejo chooses to become less than human because he doesn't see value in his own life. He only sees value in what his death or sacrifice can accomplish for fuck. And that ties perfectly into his worldview when he says, even being exploited can be a source of hope for someone. He's not exaggerating. He's literally sacrificing his body, his soul, and even his humanity for the sake of revenge. He doesn't want to be a man with a future. He wants to be a weapon with a purpose. This is where Reflejo's hatred for Baam truly crystallizes. To him, Baam represents everything he hates and wants to crush. Baam has the thorn, yet Baam stubbornly holds on to his humanity, his friendships, and even his personal freedom. Reflejo sees that not as a strength, but as a weakness, because he had already discarded all of that to become Pokken's shadow, a hollow weapon for fuck's cause. So when he looks at Baam, he doesn't just see an enemy, he sees an insult, a boy who refuses to be used, yet is somehow chosen by fate. To Reflejo, that makes Baam undeserving of the thorn, unworthy of the title of God that some people in fuck placed upon him, like Huaryo. And this is where Baam delivers one of the most brutal verbal blows of the entire workshop battle, when Reflejo accuses him of not being the god who will fulfill fuck's wishes. Baam doesn't argue. He instead dismantles the whole foundation of Reflejo's ideology with one line. That's right, I'm not your god. Your god is a delusion born of your weakness. First of all, that line is just badass. It's also not just a rejection, it's Baam defining who he is. He refuses to be a pawn, he refuses to play into Reflejo's worldview, where sacrifice equals meaning. Where Reflejo sees glory in being exploited, Baam sees only tragedy. This clash is the philosophical climax of the workshop battle. It's not just a battle of fists and shadows, it's a battle of ideologies, with Reflejo rejecting it all, as he says. How cruel for the Thorn to choose a rookie like him as its master. God sometimes creates such ridiculous fates. He gives power and beauty to the unqualified. But if God has gotten it wrong, I will correct that mistake. That right there is a man trying to override destiny itself. In terms of strength, Reflejo is a fascinating case, because his power isn't just about what he can do physically, it's about how he positions himself strategically. Let's talk about Reflejo's most terrifying attribute, his mastery of manipulation. Reflejo isn't just fighting to win battles, he's fighting to break people mentally and emotionally. His encounter with Baam and the other regulars during the workshop battle arc is a masterclass in psychological warfare. Reflejo doesn't just want to defeat his enemies, he wants to twist them, to turn their strengths into weaknesses, and to strip them of their hope. Reflejo was ordinary a normal E-rank regular. However, since he was gifted with part of Poken's shadow, he became stronger than a B-rank regular upon usage. His main achievement was that he could become one with this shadow, which made him a life form without a consistent flow. This allowed him to be unaffected by certain attacks. But raw strength isn't his most dangerous trait, it's his mind. Reflejo controls the workshop battle like a chessboard. He captures hostages, restricts Baam's choices, and creates scenarios where Baam has to dance to his tune. Think about it, Baam didn't really charge into the final confrontation because he wanted to. He was dragged there by Reflejo's hand. That's real power, the ability to decide when, where, and how your opponent fights you. But it's not just Reflejo's mind games that make him so fearful. He's fighting because he has nothing left to lose. There's no bargaining with him, no reasoning, because his mind has been shattered beyond repair. This gives him a level of unpredictability and danger that is far more terrifying than any brute force. You know that Reflejo will stop at nothing to achieve his goals, and that makes him an incredibly dangerous opponent. Even in his final stand, when the acid begins to pour, Reflejo tries to make his death a weapon. He doesn't back, he doesn't run, he doubles down, trying to drag Baam and everyone else with him. That is a consistent villain to the bitter end. Reflejo was the soul of the workshop battle, the manipulator who pulled everyone's strings, the believer who found hope in being used, the man who cursed God as he melted into the abyss. So what makes Reflejo such a fearful villain? It's the combination of his manipulative nature, his disturbing abilities, and the broken psyche that drives him. He embodies the dark side of the tower, a place that can twist even the most ordinary individuals into monsters. He's a reminder of what the tower can do to someone, and that's what makes him so truly terrifying. As we continue our journey through the villains in Tower of God, Reflejo stands out as a character who, while not being the most powerful, is certainly one of the most frightening. He's a villain who gets under your skin, who makes you question what you would do in his position, and that's the mark of a truly great antagonist, and why I truly believe that he deserves a spot in the A tier. But do let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you again. Bye!